Have you ever sent someone a message, an email or a WhatsApp message, and you received no reply? And at first you don't think much of it, but as time goes by, you check your phone again or you reread the message and you wonder if you said something wrong. And before long, your mind starts to create a story. You might be asking questions, so maybe they're angry with me, maybe I offended them. So you're no longer responding to the actual message, the unanswered message, but you are reacting to that silence. Other emotional triggers can be someone said something to you that might have left you feeling angry, annoyed, hurt, or feeling dismissed. Maybe some events does not unfold the way that you expected it to. Your emotions can be big or small, subtle, strong, or overwhelming. We create scenarios, right? And before long, we actually begin to overthink everything. Okay, so now to look at the three triggers. In ancient Buddhist teachings, they call these triggers as attachment, aversion, and ignorance. So if we translate it into today's language, or much easier to grasp and understand, we can look at attachment are things that we hold on to, things that we would like to experience more. Aversion can be experiences that could be unpleasant, experiences that we push away. And then ignorance are situations or experiences that we don't see very clearly, we don't understand, or we choose to repress those experiences or those feelings. The traditional name for these three triggers are called the three poisons. It may sound quite severe, and it does not mean that our emotions are bad. It simply shows, or it illustrates the point of we need to look at our emotions from a place of curiosity, of being aware of these emotions, instead of judging them or being influenced by these emotions. Not let the emotions rule our actions, but it should be the other way. We rule our emotions. Okay, so if we look closer to the first trigger, being attachment, being those situations that you hold on to, wanting more of those, we can illustrate it more when we say, not even just an experience, but you can also, there's a specific outcome that you are holding on to that you would like to unfold, to happen. So your expectation becomes you're already setting the goal or the aim for this to happen in a particular way. So it might say, or attachment can look like, I need this to happen my way. I need this person to respond as I hope they would to make my life easier. Or I want this pleasant experience to continue. And then you can go back to the unanswered message and you can say, we are maybe attached to receiving a very quick reply and a very favorable reply. We even want to know maybe everything is fine. We want to be acknowledged, to be understood, to feel respected or important. And wanting communication is not wrong. And and they are valid feelings, but I think again here it's the distance yourself from the actual what has happened and recognize these feelings of wanting more and more. So the questions you might ask yourself is, what am I hoping to receive? What outcome am I, what outcome am I holding on to? And what I'm afraid of if it will not unfold the way I want it to. So by asking yourself these questions, you can actually get closer to, let's say, the seed of this strong emotion of attachment. And again, it's not about judging yourself. It's creating that awareness, creating that openness, so that you can actually stand back and look at this emotion as a friend or a teacher, rather than a bad emotion or something like that. And then if we move to the second trigger, which is aversion. Aversion are, like I said, those unpleasant experiences that we try to push away. And I say try, but a lot of the times it's very successful, and we store it like in little filing cabinets in our emotional brain, and we hope it will disappear. So it can be, instead of saying with attachment, I want more of this, now you can say, I don't want this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to deal with this. This should not be happening. Or again, then you can say the outcome is not what I wanted. And aversion, pushing away, can look or manifest in emotions like anger, defensiveness, blame, withdrawal, or avoidance, or pretending that we do not care. Although the pretending we do not care can easily fall into the next trigger, which we're going to talk about now. So, aversion, we push an emotion down. Like I said, we're not dealing with this, we're filing it. And it also can be, we don't want to feel vulnerable, disappointed, or afraid. But then you can also look and see, as soon as you step into this place of awareness, you can say by pushing this emotion away, it doesn't mean that this emotion will go away, because it will come back until you deal with this emotion. And like I always say, these emotions, these experiences that we try to push away, they are actually our teachers, and they've actually got messages for us to look at in our lives. So questions you can ask: what am I trying not to feel? What am I pushing away? Why am I pushing it away? And why does this feel so threatening or uncomfortable? And what might this emotion try to show me that I need to learn from? The third trigger is ignorance, or not being able to see clearly. And this is quite an interesting one, because one can look at it as from the perspective or from the point that deliberately not seeing it, or not wanting to see it, not wanting to acknowledge it. Or it can come from a place where you really do not have the capacity to recognize it. It's not your fault. It might just be where you are in your life at the moment. So it's again these two situations. And I actually think in today, what happens is that there's so many distractions around us, being it screens, the phone, or binge watching, that can be, ways of how people repress not having to deal with what is in front of them, their emotions. So that's one way of looking of ignorance. We try to distract ourselves, uh, or we become so trapped by our own versions of making up these stories that we aren't seeing clearly the picture. Because if you go back to the unanswered message, what do you know? You only know that this is what you've said and you've sent the message. Beyond that, you don't know anything, and you don't know what the recipient situation would be. Maybe they might have been, I don't know, maybe an accident, and they're in the hospital, they can't get to their messages, or maybe the electricity went down, they cut off from the world, or there are so many reasons. So instead of making up the stories, we should go back to what do we know, and that's it. Just leave it there. And then just take it a step further. These three triggers can happen all together, again, without us knowing it. Because let's say, for instance, you plan something very important. Now, the other person that you invited cancels, right? Now, attachment or holding on to, you can say, this was not supposed to happen, or no, I need everything to go according to plan, right? And then the pushing away, the aversion trigger comes up and says, but I don't want to feel this disappointment, or I don't want this outcome. I didn't plan for this outcome, so this is not on. This can't happen. And then ignorance can come up and can ask the question, but maybe they cancelled because this event, or I am not that important to them. So holding on to the outcome, resisting to what is happening, pushing it away, and creating a conclusion of without knowing the whole story, like we've said before. So a very small, and that's to show you, a very small emotion or small happening can produce or can be blown up bigger than what it actually is, right? It can produce a strong reaction, not really stepping away into that space of openness and awareness. So how do we solve this? So there are three ways that one can catch yourself and remedy this emotion. And again, I just want to point out, having emotions, I'm not saying that is wrong, but again, emotions can be triggers into showing us what is needed in our life to teach us lessons so that we can go forward and create wisdom, There's a beautiful saying also that the poison becomes the medicine. Okay? Anyway, so the three ways. First, we can catch the emotion before it's fully formed, which is usually the best way, because we are not that emotionally involved yet. Our body let's take anger, for example. Anger, before, okay, so someone says something to you, before your veins start popping and your face gets red, you get all flustered, or you get so, your heart, you get heart palpitations. I actually can't speak now. I don't know. Anyway, you get heart palpitations. Before all of that happens, if you can catch yourself and take a moment to pause, to breathe, and to ask yourself, okay, what is happening here? If you can manage that, great. The second part, or the second time when you can actually catch yourself, is when, this one might be difficult, is when the emotion has now fully formed, the veins have started to pop, but there's a voice in your head that actually calls you and causes you to stop and breathe and think about what's happening there. So that's the second way. And the third part is where you, let's say, for instance, okay, so now this whole fight has happened and time passed, and maybe you're going to go to bed at night and you reflect upon your day, and then this thought comes up. Then you can actually think about the whole scenario and think to yourself, you know what, maybe I should not have reacted the way I've reacted. And you kind of like now replay the whole scenario, and you regret some of the things that you've said or how you reacted. So your reflection comes up as, yes, that reaction becomes your medicine, so that when that situation comes up again, you can be reminded of what you thought about, and yes, so you will act differently, or react or respond or differently this time than previously. And it might take months or years for it to happen, but by reflecting on this or thinking about this, you're already planting the seeds. And when the conditions are right, it will take root, and it will bear fruit and flowers and turn into this beautiful tree. So, but you have to start somewhere, and now is the best time to start. Okay, so a reflection for you for this week. I've actually got 3 questions that you can ask yourself based on these 3 emotional triggers. So first of all, you can ask yourself, what am I trying to hold on to when you experience these strong emotions of holding on to certain outcomes or experiences? Or so you can ask yourself, so what am I holding on to? And you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And when you experience the unpleasant circumstances or experiences in your life, you can ask yourself, so what am I trying to push away? What am I trying to push away? And is there something that I'm not seeing that this situation might want to teach me? And then the third one is, what am I not seeing clearly? Are my programming or beliefs, are they too strong for me to actually look at this from a distance and a place of awareness and openness? Use this as a journey for yourself, not judging your emotions, but accepting them, embracing them, welcoming them, and working with these emotions as teachers instead of judging them. Let's say that, right? So thank you for spending this time with me and watching me or listening to me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, or even to my Pilgrim of the Path newsletter, you can go to my website, homeofblisswellness.com, subscribe to my newsletter. And then if you want to explore these kind of teachings or reflections more deeply, you are welcome to join my Pilgrim of the Path circle. Each week I give you a video of reflections, also with reflective companions for journaling questions and a little bit more personal practice, as well as a guided meditation, being it spoken meditation or sound meditation. So until next time, be kind to yourself, be kind to everybody around you, and may our path be guided with clarity, integrity, and awareness. Namaste.